Now, how do we do this? If we can't use this program over here where we use external force on people, we got to go over here and use internal motivation. How do we establish internal motivation? If you have a car, it's got an internal power source, doesn't it? A car that has an engine that's in good shape moves on its own. But if you don't have that internal power source, you have to use external force. Do you understand? And if the engine isn't working, you got to carry it or push it or drag it. Is that true on a car? And same with a kid. If a child has an internal power, they're self-motivated, then they're going to work themselves. They're going to do their stuff themselves. But if they don't have that internal motivation, then you got to use this external stuff and force them and pound them and carry them and drag them. Is that true? Is that fun? To get after them all the time about their bedrooms, about fighting and quarreling with each other, about not doing their homework, getting in on time? You want kids that want to keep the rules. You want kids that voluntarily agree to keep the rules. That's what you want, and that's what you can get with this program. So what we're going to do is talk about how kids are motivated internally. You have a boy that's been out on the desert, and he comes in now, and he's been without food for 3 days, water without 1 day, without water for 1 day. And he comes in now, and guess what's happening? What's he got on his mind, people? Food and water. And he comes in the front door and says, "Good to see you, Herkimer. Missed you." And you got 10 hamburgers sitting here. Oh, they smell so good. And waffles and syrup and strawberries and ice cream and root beer. And what's he thinking of? Oh boy, and he's going to eat right now. And you say, wait a minute, we got a rule in the universe that we plant, we sow before we reap. We build a house before we live in it. We make a suit before we wear it. That's the law of the universe. Now, we're going to teach you that law. And that means that we work before we eat. Oh, and then he will say what? Let me eat first, and I promise I'll, what? Do the dishes. But that's a lie. That's not true, because that's against nature. And it won't work that way. You got to plant before you sow. And so you tell him this. As soon as you get the dishes done, we'll eat, son. Now, if he knows you never lie, and he knows he's got to do the dishes first before he can eat, how long will it take him to do those dishes? And he does them lickety-split, bang, bang, boy, he's done them. And now he's eating. Now, did he do the dishes because it was his turn? Did he do the dishes because he wanted to help mother? Because he wanted this altruistic self-fulfillment in life? He wanted to live in a nice house. Why did he do dishes? Because he was hungry. And that was the door to the dishes. The dishes were the door to the food. And now he does it. And he eats 10 hamburgers. And he eats 10 of those waffles. And he's eating bacon and eggs and a couple of quarts of ice cream and a gallon of root beer. And he is feeling no pain now. In fact, he's laying in the front room stretched out. Oh! Is that true? Why did he do it, people? What is the motivator? What motivated him to do those dishes? What will motivate your kids to get along? What will motivate your kids to be sweet and pleasant around the house? What will motivate your kids to do this? What is the one word? What is it? Need. You put on a coat because you need to. You go to work because you need money. You build a house because you need shelter. Need, need, need. It's a 4-letter word. It's a wonderful word. And that's the way the universe is set up. God provides the raw materials, and we have needs. We need to eat. We need clothes. We need this. We need that. And so we work, and we are motivated. And so Dad says, well, that works so good. His son's laying over there with a pot belly. And he says, son, you jump up. The kid's moaning there. Oh, he ate so much. You jump up and go out and mow the front lawn and the back lawn, pull the weeds and trim the hedges, and I'll give you 10 more hamburgers and 10 more waffles. And what does the kid say? Oh, no. It almost makes him throw up. Because a need, once satisfied, is no longer motivating. The need is proportionate to the motivation. The motivation is proportionate to the need. No need, no motivation. Do you believe me? Little need, little motivation. Big need, what? Big motivation. It's proportional. Now, we got a little problem here that's built into our parenting program. This need is hierarchical. First is physical needs like food and clothes and stuff like that. and then security needs, and then social needs. Kids don't make their bed to feel self-fulfilled. They're still reptilian brains, still thinking territorially. And they make their bed because of other reasons. Later, when their brains are developed, when they get older, they will develop some of these higher motivational levels. But most of us don't operate at that 4th and 5th level anyway. Now, here's what happens. Youth today loves luxury. They have bad manners, contempt for authority, no respect for older people, and talk nonsense when they should work. Is that true? Is it? Young people do not stand up any longer when adults enter the room. They contradict their parents, talk too much in company, guzzle their food, put their feet on the table, and tyrannize their elders. Is that true? You know it. Socrates complaining about the youth of Athens in his day, 2,500 years ago. I'm here to report to you all the progress we're making. So what's new? Let's look at this. What is teenage retirement? Now we're headed for a crisis here. What is teenage retirement? Teenage retirement is a term that describes the attitude and lifestyle of children of any age that do not earn but instead are what? Given everything. These children neither earn nor save much. They develop a sense of entitlement. They're self-centered, ungrateful, and usually what? Do you know these kids? Teenage retirement. They are taught to be consumers, not producers, as they learn to be incompetent and dependent. The question is what? If we give our kids everything, where's the motivation? If we give people everything, where is the motivation? If there is no need, where is the motivation? And we think that we're good parents, and that the more we give our kids, the better we are. And that's the opposite many times. There was a generation of Americans who were raised during the Depression, and they swore when our kids grow up, they will not need like we did. We had to work. We didn't have clothes. We didn't have food all the time. Our kids will never have to work like we did. We're going to give our children we're going to give our children the Christmases that we dreamed of. We're going to give our kids everything, and they did. And they raised a people that did not know how to work. And they raised a me generation. Selfish people who don't know how to save, who don't know how to work, who don't know what work is. Many of them. Is this true? You see, you give your kids everything. What have you destroyed? All motivation. There's no need. Teenage retirement. Everything is given. All the clothes. Open their closets. You can hardly get any more clothes in. They got several pairs of shoes, several changes of underwear, all kinds of socks. All the games you can imagine. Some of them have their own TVs, their own radios, their own telephone in their home. They got their own computers with all their games. They lack for no food. Open the icebox. They can have all the junk food. They get everything in the world, all the sports equipment. They have cars to take them around, the best medical stuff in the world. Everything is provided. The soap, the towels, the toilet paper fairy magically shows up and puts the toilet paper on the roll correctly because they don't know how to do it. Now, studies show that this is actually genetic because dads don't know how to do it either. Everything is provided. All need is gone. And we've destroyed all motivation, all incentive. So these kids get more and more, and their eyes are on what they don't have, not on what they do have. And we're losing them. We're losing them because we are not willing to teach them to work. We're not willing to take the time to work with them, to have family businesses where they're involved. It's easier for us to give them $20 than to figure out some way that kid can earn it and how to get him to want to earn it. Well, we start to take away everything, including, they can buy their own stuff. I mean, everything's provided, isn't it? The towels, the soap, isn't it? The carpets, the bedding, the pillows, the sheets, everything. It's amazing what these kids have. Are they happy? They're quarreling and unhappy. We are sick. We've really missed the point. Let's go on with this. A parent's responsibility is to create an environment in their home that is full of developmental opportunity and challenge for children. Translated, work. And not an environment of affluence and luxury. Don't give them an allowance. Allowance is a plague, isn't it? It's a welfare program. The laws of the universe, isn't it? You're such a nincompoop. Here's $10 a week. You're not capable of earning anything. We don't think you should learn to work, so here's $10. And some psychology books I read said you should always give kids allowances. There's no studies to support that. And their reasoning was so that they will learn to manage money. Flash. They earn $20, they're going to handle it a lot better than if you give them $20. Do you believe that? They've mowed the lawn all day. They're not going to blow it on some video game. Are they? Maybe. That's if they've got too much. We'll talk to you afterwards. Okay. I want to tell you, if there is need, if there's really need, they will be saving their money. Do you believe me? They won't be blowing it on stuff. Some of them will blow it. Some of them will at first. I got some stories about that. Now, we got to have to hurry here. Now, the only thing we're going to talk about, this is Erickson's stuff, and he's a genius, okay? I love this guy. But we're only going to talk about one little piece of that, the 6 to 12. Children go through developmental crises. And at these different levels, these different age levels, they have to learn certain skills and cope with life. If they don't learn those skills, they carry a deficit into the next level. So between 6 and 12, you develop a sense of industry. You learn to appreciate work, and you develop skills around work. And if you don't do that, you don't feel independent and competent, and you develop a feeling of inferiority. Can you see the connection? So we'll go past that real fast. But what is the key to a child's growth and development? On one word, we told you what it was. What was it? Work. All right. The token economy now is not a principle. It is a program. It is the format into which we put all these principles. The principles of children managing their own time and resources. They enter into work contracts with their parents. They earn and bank their own money. They're paid to do housework, etc. They buy their own clothing. There is no lending. You don't lend them. When you lend children money, you are reinforcing their bad fiscal management. When you lend money, you are saying it is okay to go into debt. When you lend money, you are teaching your children not to save, not to learn how to defer gratification. They need to save. They need to put money aside. They need to have $10 in their pocket, and they need 20 to buy something. And something over here costs 10, and they got to resist that temptation. And some of them are going to make mistakes. It's better these children learn to manage their money when they're 10 and 12 and 15 than they go out when they're 20 or 30 and buy a $40,000 car. Isn't that true? All right. No lending. No lending. You mean pay my kids for cleaning their own rooms? Yes. And you can set your kids down. And you can tell them, we have got to get more money into your hands. And they'll say, keep going to that parenting class. And you sit them down and you say, you know all this work you got to do around the house? Yeah, we got to do everything. Well, we're going to pay you for that. And then you're going to buy your own clothes. We're going to send you down to the mall. You're going to buy your own clothes and stuff. You're kidding. That's great. Should they be buying their own clothes when they're 12 years old? Yes, they should. They should know, and they should bank the money. All right, I can't afford to pay my kids for cleaning their own rooms and doing stuff around the house. How do you usually buy clothes for your children? How? Think about it. You take the child to the mall. You got the $200 in your pocket. Is that true? Or a credit card or whatever you use, huh? And then you pay the merchant for all the goods. Is that so? Is that true? From your pocket to the merchant. There's a better way to do that. You pay the child for working. You pay her for getting up in the morning. You pay her for fixing breakfast. You pay her for cleaning the bathroom, cleaning her room, on and on and on. Now, the idea with the token economy is that much of what you've just been giving for nothing, they will now earn. Yes, they have a bicycle, and they get so many points they can ride it that day. They have so many points they can have dessert that day. They have so many points they can get so much money and buy their clothes. They can get so many points and they can what? Have friends over. Play the TV thing. And there's most of this stuff that they've been getting for free, you are now going to require that they earn. And the reason for this, now hear this, don't miss this. One of the main reasons for this program is that it gives you an excuse 100 times a day to give a positive stroke to that child. Say, Johnny, that's tremendous. Wow, this is so good. Here's your dimes for this. Here's your dimes for that. You are so big. Look at your room. This program offers you 100 times a day an opportunity to positively reinforce that child, to connect with them, to give them positive, good strokes. Does this make sense? And it's much better to do that than go in there and holler at them, this room is not clean. How many times do I have to tell you to make your bed, you little moron? Now get in here and do it. You know, I'm going to hit you. See, we're trying to use external power when there's no internal motivation. You create need and you will have internal motivation. And that's the way the Master set up the universe, and we ought to take a clue. Okay, so what you do now is you pay the child and the child pays the merchant. The child goes down there. They plan it. They look at their darn sales in the paper. When it's their money, they're going to go down and buy. They go to the thrift store. They go to the seconds place. The girl's standing there, look, Mommy, I got 4 glasses for the price of 1. This one's got 3 sleeves, but other than that, it looks pretty good. They'll buy the less expensive clothes, do you believe me? And they will shop and they will wait and they will go to the sales when it's their money. Because they don't want to blow their money all over here. They want it for this other stuff. And they can be buying their money for their lunches, earning money for their lunches, earning money for their trips to Disneyland or the fun things or their scout activities or whatever. Let them earn. They feel so good when they earn. Kids on the token economy love it. So do the parents. All right. Now, how much does it cost you? How much did it cost you? You pay out of your pocket $200, or you have the child earn $200 and she pays $200. How much does it cost you? The same amount. It has not cost you more. Now, when the children are little, 5 and 6 and 7, you get into it gradually, and you use your head on it. There's age-appropriate application. Don't go up to little Harry that's 6 months in the crib and say, you know, we went to this parenting class, and we don't think you're pulling your weight around here. And so, you know, you got to have age-appropriate application here. So don't be ridiculous. But in the beginning, the token economy supplies all the needs for the child. When that kid is 10 or 12, he's got a paper route. Now maybe the token economy, the family economy is only providing maybe 75%. And he's out there earning $50 or $75 a month. And he learns to do that. He feels good. All my kids worked. David didn't want to work at the fun center. He didn't want minimum wage. So he developed a car detailing business where he'd go around the car dealers and clean the engines. And he did a great job and cleaned the car. Made a lot of money. Jimmy painted curbs. Angela had 24 piano students by the time she left for college. Danny sold drugs. All my kids... kind of snuck up on you on that one, huh? All my kids worked hard. Danny was making more money than me. Don't knock it. Okay. All right. But when that kid is 15 or so, he's making a lot of money. This requires the child to go out and negotiate their labor. When this kid's 10 years old, he can be pulling weeds next door and going shopping for the shut-in. Do you hear? They need to think. They need to understand that they need to support themselves and develop a sense of industry. I can remember when it hit me. I can remember one day when I was working hard out in the backyard that I did a really good job. My dad came up and said, you know, that's great. No, now go do the front yard. But anyway, he says, that's great. And you know how I felt inside? I said to myself inside in my child vocabulary, this feels better than when I play. Do you guys know that? This feels better than when I work hard and I'm going through this and I accomplish. I feel good. There's something in me that validates. And I feel independent. And I feel worthwhile. And I feel good. And kids that don't learn to work and are not developing these skills know something's wrong inside. And they're lashing out. And they're unhappy. And they're miserable. And they'll make your life miserable. All right. This builds the beginning of values here. Can you let go? To let go is not to stop caring about my children. It's recognizing I can't live somebody else's life. To let go is not to cut myself off from my children, but it's realizing I can't control them. To let go is not to enable my children to live an irresponsible lifestyle, but is to allow learning from natural consequences. To let go is not to fight powerlessness, but to accept that the outcome is not in my hands. Kids will be who they will be. It is to let go is not to try to change or blame others, it's to make the most of myself. To let go is not to care for somebody, but to care about them. To let go is not to fix, it's to be supportive. Let people solve their own problems. To let go is not to judge, but to allow another to be a human being, what they want to be, what they must be to learn the things that they have to learn. To let go is not to try to arrange outcomes, but to allow others to affect their own destinies. To let go is not to be protective all the time, but to allow my children to face their problems and solve them. To let go is not to regulate everybody, but to strive to live my own life. Does this make sense? All his codependents are screaming, no, no, okay? To let go is not to fear less, it's to love more. Now this is a star chart. This is the beginning of our charts. This works like this possibly. It can be a star chart, a happy face chart, a check chart, a point chart, whatever it is. But the clock rings every hour, or maybe every hour and half hour. This is to get your kids to stop whining and being stinky when they're 4 and 5 years old. Now, every hour or every time the clock rings, whatever you have set up, the children come to you. And if they've been good during that half hour and been loving to each other and serving each other and helping each other, and they watch the clock and listen, they come running to you, and then you give them a happy face or you give them a star. And they go put it on there. And a star is worth stuff, okay? They're earning stuff. Now, they'll do it just for the recognition. They'll do it just for the feeling good. But pretty soon they got a whole drawer of stars and they go, you know. So a star has to have value. Okay, so this is how it works. This is a star-earning behavior. Having a helpful and sweet spirit with other family members for 1 hour, you get 20 points. Or 2 stars, whatever it works out. Stinky spirit, lose 20 points and spend the rest of the hour in timeout or do a service. Your choice. Huh? Star reward, 20 points, you get a special treat. 60 points, a special toy. 100 points, 1 hour TV. 150 points, a choice of dessert. 200 points, play with friends. Do these kids love these points? They do. Now remember, points turn into money and points turn into privileges. So you got double reinforcement right there. And they feel good about it. Now, these are not chore charts. They're earning contracts. They're signed. The behavior is specific. The payment schedule is specific. This happens to be a little boy. You're teaching him how to take care of a dog. You know, they don't take care of a dog. Get rid of the dog. You might have to go through several dogs. Okay? One lady, I told her, she said, my son will not feed the dog. He will not take care of the dog. I said, get rid of the dog. She says, I can't. I love the dog. I said, get rid of the kid. She says, there's a thought. Okay. I knew you'd come up with a good answer. But see, you might have to go through several dogs. You will not allow a child to neglect neglect an animal. That's cruel. And so you might have to go through several dogs. And then they'll cry, but then they'll get over it. And then you say, okay, let's go look at a little puppy. You go down and look at a puppy. Now they can save $50 and get a puppy. Whatever. Anyway, keep them busy. All right, so these are not chore charts. They're earning contracts. Now this happens to be to take care of the dog. The kid agreed. He bought the dog. If he doesn't feed him and take care of him, the dog will be gone. So this is what he does. He's going to get paid for this. These are the points he makes. Let's look how it works. Behavior. You feed Wilbur. That's the dog. AM and PM, you wash his dishes, pick up his landmines. Before 5. Before 5 p.m., you get before 5 p.m. each day. The consequences for compliance and non-compliance. Clean his dish, 10 points. Feed him in the AM, 10 points. Feed him PM, 10 points. Pick up all his landmines, 50 points. Okay, that's kind of nasty. So you get a lot of points for that. Okay, service for feeding. Now, if you don't do it, then maid service kicks in. And somebody else gets paid for doing your stuff. And if somebody feeds your dog, you got to pay them $1. And if you got to clean up their messes, it's landmines are $3. And loss of pet for neglect. Does this make sense? Now, the child keeps these points. They want these points. Now, if he's really in need and needs lots of money for scouts, needs new basketball shoes, needs sporting equipment, is he going to really work? You say, what will turn him on? What's the hot button? What will you kill for? You know, son, if you get 500 points today, we'll let you beat up your sister. Okay, that sounds good. Deal. And it's signed and everything. Now, remember, a contract is a contract. That son has put his name to the contract. If he's agreed to mow the lawn and there's 4 feet of snow, shovel the snow and mow the lawn. Because your word is your word. A contract is your honor. It's your integrity. It's your reputation. It is your soul. Do you understand? So you do it. One kid comes in and says, I don't want to do it anymore. I want to get $10. You're paying me $7. I want to get $10 for mowing the front and back. Dad says, you're under contract. Well, I don't need the money. This has nothing to do with money. It has to do with you honoring your word. He says, well, I want $10. He takes off. The boy comes home, and he finds the little boy next door mowing it. He says, he's out there mowing my lawn. Dad says, it's not your lawn. You breached your contract. He's out there mowing it. Well, I'll mow it next week then. I got a contract with him for 3 months at $5 a week. $5 a week. A little union buster out. You don't touch him. He's out there doing a good job, and you just let him go. After 3 months, the boy wants to renegotiate, right? Okay, I'll do the lawn. I'll do it for $7. What does Dad say? Hey, going market price is $5. Competition, business is business. Bad move, son. Okay? Do you understand that? These are dated. They negotiate their labor. And they put their writings down in contracts so that they honor their words. This is so important for integrity. It's so important that they learn responsibility. When it's raining or whatever, they're going to be out of town, they get that lawn mowed because they're contracted. And Dad teaches that. That has to be mowed no matter what. Whether you're sick or whether you're in town or whatever, that lawn has to be mowed. That is your contract. Unless you have in the contract, unless I'm sick or unless, you understand, but you honor that contract. That is absolutely vital. Now, this is a multiple behavior task record. Remember, it's not a what? Chore chart. All right, now these are the behaviors. This is how they're listed. Let's look how one is filled out. This is the bottom of the chart. Okay, up at 7 a.m., 20 points. Clean the room, 20 points. Tidy the bathroom, 10 points. Breakfast, lunch, 10 points. Home by 3, 10 points. Feed the dog, 20. Kitchen help, 30. Now this kid's kind of mouthy. You can see where they put the emphasis. He doesn't do a good job in the kitchen, so he gets 30 points for doing the kitchen. Getting along with sisters, 30 points. In bed by 9 is 20 points. Cooperating and polite with mother, there's what? So, yeah, there's 30 points. So there's like $1 there for just doing the dinner, not having raisin heck at dinner, okay? That's what this is all about. And sitting at the table being polite. Now, there's a possible 200 points if you get them all. But if you get at least 150, you can get bonus points. Now, these bonus points are fantastic. It's an extra 50 points. So it's possible to get 250 points a day. Do you see how it works? Now, let's look. These points turn in, or doing the chore turns into points, which turn into privileges and money. 225 points and above, you step till 10 p.m., you pick the TV programs, and you get dessert. Pretty good, huh? You got paid for it, too. Yes. 200 points and above, you step till 9. So you go to bed an hour early, and you don't pick the TV, but you do get dessert. 150 points and above, in bed at 8:30 p.m., you get dessert. 120 points, in bed at 8, things getting worse, and you lose dessert, too. Below 120 points, you're in bed at 8, and you do the dishes before you go. Do you understand? Do you understand how it works? There's a lot of motivation here. Now, this kid, you have these kids, they got $300, $400, $500 in the bank. You get them with that money in the bank, so they don't like fines. They don't like fines. So you take maid service out of those things. And if they don't do their stuff, they get fined. Now, let's look at this. Points convert to money. If Tommy has 1,300 or more weekly points, Dad will take him and his friends fishing Saturday morning. That's kind of rotten, and I'll explain that in a little while. Let's look at this. How many reinforcers are there? Is this better than nagging your kids? First of all, motivation is directly proportional to what? Need, yes. Okay, how many reinforcers are there? When the kids, who keeps the records? The kids do. And if they don't put the records down, Mom draws a red line through that day. Because we don't do memory. You do it, you record it. Reporting is part of the assignment. Does this make sense? And keeping their record, their journals. All right, so when the kid gets the points and he records the point, is that reinforcing, yes or no? Is it reinforcing? Yes. Social reinforcers. Dad comes home, and he's got a whole pocket full of dimes, and Dad plays this game every day for this kid. This kid's 12 years old, and he's just waiting for Dad to come home. And Dad comes home. This kid's got $2.30 Dad owes him. He's got 230 points. Dad comes in. Dad plays the game. He sneaks in the house like he's trying to get away. And he makes enough noise so the kid can spot him. He turns around, Dad, I got 230 points. And Dad, what does Dad do? Play the game. Oh, this is terrible. Look at me. I'm getting so skinny. I can't even eat lunch at work anymore. We got to change this. And the kid's jumping up and down. Dad, you got to pay me $2.30. He goes over to the mason jar, and he drops those dimes in one at a time every single day. The younger they are, the quicker that reinforcement has to be, the more often the reinforcement. So he goes click, clink, that's 8. That's only 3. Well, gee, son, I haven't got any money. Can I borrow some money? And the kids will say stuff like this. I cannot reinforce your poor financial planning. I cannot lend you money. Do you get it? They talk to you like this because they get this. And that's what they learn. All right, social reinforcers, and Mom's saying how great it is. 10, 15, 20 times a day, the kid is being reinforced because he feels good. Huh? Let's look at the rest of the reinforcers. Feelings of accomplishment. Is that good? When that room is clean, how does he feel? The comfort zone is raised. Privileges, he earns privileges with those points. The points equal money. Is the money reinforcing? Yes. The items purchased, are they reinforcing? Look at all the reinforcing. Activities. He gets to go places. He earns it with points to go places, and he pays his own way to go places. Active recording is reinforcing. Encouragement of friends. That's that dirty one I told you. Remember? If he gets 1,300 more points, he gets to go, Dad will take him and his friends fishing. Isn't that rotten? Now you pick big kids in the neighborhood. They come after your little boy. You're being nice to your sister. Because we want you to get those points so we can go fishing. Do you get it? You be nice, we're going to whip you. Anyway, the idea is the kid says, get off my case, you're worse than my parents. But the kids in the neighborhood got a vested interest if your boy's cleaning up the dog poo. And they, kind of interesting. All right, now we've had some complaints about this. It really does work. I got to tell you about this one case. This dad and mom are into the program. And they both had $200, the 16-year-old son and the 12-year-old son. They said, you're going to go now to the mall. Mama went all through the sales and all that and buy school clothes. So off they went. And Mom just dropped them off, went home and prayed. $200 for this 12-year-old and the 16-year-old, each $200 each. She gets a call in a couple hours, and she says, how did your brother do? To the oldest son. The boy says, well, you'll find out when you get here, Mother. Oh. So off she goes, and the 16-year-old had everything just right just as they planned. And you want to know what the 12-year-old had paid $200 for? He'd paid $200, and all he had to show for $200 was a skateboard. That was his school clothes money. Now, what would Mother usually do? You moron! Give me that board! And she'll take off and wrap it around some poor clerk's head. You robbed my son! Give me back him! And she'd drag him down to the place to get the shoes and drag him. Is that right? The kid feel like a real idiot. But Mother's into the program. She just says, love you. Get in the car. Then she goes home, puts her head in the pillow. Ah! And screams. She knows what's going to happen because in a few days school starts. And off goes the favorite child of the family. The child that is obviously the one that's loved. With nice new clothes. And a new pack and a new hat and a new coat. He goes off looking like $1 million. And the child, the Cinderella of the family, the child that the family hates, got all these busted out clothes from summer, looking like a little street person, but he's on his nice skateboard. The mother couldn't stand it. I can't have my kid go to school like that. What will everybody say? We're so into our image. I says, make him wear a sign. I also had $200, but blew it on this stupid skateboard. Okay? She wouldn't make him do that. So pretty soon, in just a little while, what was happening? This kid was walking along, and his shoes now had busted out on the bottom. That opened up, and all the rocks and gravel got in, ruined every pair of socks he had. Now he's walking along. You know how they peel back? They were peeled back. Mother couldn't stand it. She'd go upstairs till they'd left for school. And she really hated it when the principal called up and says, Mrs. Jones, we have a lost and found. Why don't you come down? Maybe we can get you some clothes. Mothers hate that. But anyway, after a couple months, he comes in to see his mother, who was in the kitchen cooking. Ma, I can't wear these shoes. These are terrible. Look. You could see skin. Mother says, go see your father. This was all his idea. So the kid goes out to the garage. Dad was in the garage. Dad, look at this. Look at my shoes. I can't go to school like this. They sent me home. Let's see. Oh, they're all air conditioned. Yeah. But son, I can't believe you walk around in shoes like that. No son of mine's going to walk around in shoes like that. What was the kid thinking? Usually Dad would take him down there. I want to buy you shoes, you little twit. You're responsible for buying all that stupid skateboard, and you're going to pay me back every penny. I'm going to take it out of your hide. Dad didn't say that. The boy made a decision. Dad's letting him feel the consequences of his irresponsible decisions. It's not going to kill him. It's very uncomfortable for the mother. She was the one that was really suffering. Dad kind of thought it was kind of funny. Anyway, no boy of mine's going to run around in shoes like that. Give me those shoes. And Papa took those shoes, and he wound them up with his black electric tape. He just wound them up like that. Clear out to the end. And Papa did a good job. Give me the other one. And he wound that baby up. And he handed it back to his son. There you go, son. No son of mine's going to walk around in bad shoes. You ever need any more black tape, you come see me. Now in California, that'll probably start a fad, okay? You got your black electric tape shoes? No, where do you get them? I don't have them. But do you know in a couple months that boy had saved his money? Would you believe he went and bought shoes? Would you believe that? He did. And he bought underwear, stuff that didn't show. And he started buying clothes. And he learned to budget. It took a while. Now I got to admit, all those cases, 99.99 of the cases I hear about token economy, when they'll do it and take the time to do it, once you get it set up, it's wonderful. Kids love it. But I did have one complaint. Actually, I had two complaints. I'll tell you about them. This one guy called me up and he says, I hate you. I says, how come? He says, I hate you. I hate your stupid token economy. I says, what's the matter? Doesn't your wife like it? Oh, she loves it. Didn't she understand? Oh, it's wonderful. The kids are upset. No, the kids love it. Your wife likes it. The kids love it. What you talking about? He says, my wife put me on the token economy. I says, what are you talking about? I never heard of such a thing. He says, yeah, she put me on a token economy. Kids all added up their points, got their money last night, went to bed. Then she sat on the edge of the bed, added up my points, says, well, tonight you get a kiss, but I'm sure you'll do better tomorrow. He says, I hate you. I said, I don't blame you. He says, what'll I do? I said, it sounds to me like you better shape up. Remember, the program works on what? That's right. Okay. You got the idea? Now let's look at some of these. Need. No need, no motivation. Big need, big motivation. Cut that pie any way you like. Got some ladies that got some real wicked looks. Okay. Okay. This is the bedroom. These charts hang in the bedroom. How does the kid get his point? It's not some confusing mess. He knows exactly how he gets his 50 cents that day. If he makes his bed neatly, puts his clothes and toys away, 5 items or less on the dresser, and the lights and the radio off, he gets his 50 cents that day. Now, on Saturday, we got to dust the furniture, change bedding, vacuum the floors, empty the wastebasket. So Saturday becomes a double point day. So how much can he make on Saturday now? $1. Is that cool? Would you pay your 12-year-old to get his daughter his bed made really fast? Mm-hmm. Now, but we're going to pull something else here. We're going to make it a double point day. You get a bonus. If it's done by 9 a.m. on Saturday, you get a double point day. So the kid can make $2 just cleaning his room up by 9 o'clock on Saturday. Would you pay a kid $2 that's saving for a pair of shoes? Would you pay a kid to do that? Now, I had a complaint on this. I got to admit it. A guy called me. He says, we don't do that anymore. I said, what do you mean you don't do it? It's one of the most powerful parts of the program. He says, don't do it anymore. I says, how come? He says, because one Saturday when we put it into effect, our 5-year-old woke us up at 6 o'clock on Saturday morning, coming into our bedroom with a vacuum. Get out of here. Decent folks are sleeping. So we don't do that anymore. Your kids, when they need, they'll be coming to you and asking for stuff to do around the house. Sometimes it gets to be a pest. Get out of here. The lawn's been mowed 3 times this week. Leave me alone. Go mow the neighbor's lawn. If they're in need and you're smart, they will be working and going next door and working because they want to work. And they will make their money, and they will defer their gratification. Let's look at this. Sometimes there's a pig pen award. I had a friend that had a bathroom, and this boy didn't clean it. And the dad warned him, if you don't clean your bathroom, we're going to quarantine it. And he shut it down. The kid says, I don't care. The kid said, I don't do bathrooms. 12-year-old, little stink. I don't do bathrooms. And the dad says, well, can you make kids do bathrooms? No. He says, that's okay. It's your choice. Your mother is not your scullery maid. She's the queen of this house, not the servant. You doodle in a toilet, you clean it. You get in a bathtub, you take the ring out. Do you hear? I don't do bathrooms, Dad. Dad says, okay, it's quarantine. And Dad was new in the program, hadn't even heard the tapes much. But he had the idea. He was kind of flying by the seat of his pants. So he kind of made it up as he went along, he told me. He says, okay, and then if your bathroom is quarantined, that means you can't use anybody else's bathroom in this house. Kid says, that's okay. Dad says, well, I suggest you stop off at a gas station on the way home from school. Kid says, I can do that. Dad says, you better work it out with one of your friends, 25 cents a deal, next door or whatever. Now, I mean it. The kid says, I don't care. I don't need your stupid bathroom. Dad says, well, take a bar of soap and shower at school. Kid says, I can do that. Dad says, okay. Dad says, you can shower in the backyard with the hose and the soap. He says, I'll do that. And Dad went out in the garage. Now, this is the hard part. Now, I would never suggest you do that. But he went out there and he got a bucket. Now, this guy is a dentist, and they live kind of uppity up in the, they're kind of, the mother's kind of uppity up. And the dad brought the bucket in from the garage to the son. It says, now, for emergencies, you can go in the bucket. You're a scout. I've taught you how to dispose of these little goodies here that you do. And you can use that if you need to. Otherwise, you run to school in the morning. You don't take care of it. Here's the bucket. Now, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days went by. About the third or fourth day, I can't remember exactly, the mother was looking through the Venetian blinds, crying. Tears come down her face. The daddy comes up. What's what? And there, he looks through outside, and their son's sitting on the bucket. Outside, and mother says, this is too much, I can't handle. You and Jones are crazy. And the dad says, I didn't know what to do. It just kind of happened. What could I do? That day, the boy came in and said, Dad. He says, what? He says, I do bathrooms. Dad says, okay, I'll open it up. You can clean it. And then there'll be a $10 inspection fee. $10 inspection fee. Yeah, it was unhealthy. And I'm the only one authorized to pass on the health issues. It was $10 inspections. And if you don't pass, the second one is $20. Well, the kids straightened up right away. All right. In the kitchen, they don't do their chores in the kitchen. This one lady was in our group, and she had like an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old that every day would come in and not get the table set on time, and it got to be a real issue. This lady was an actress, very fastidious. The children dressed for dinner. Can you believe that? These little girls. So they came to... She said, I'm tired of hollering at them to get them in here on time, and they won't do it. It's a little power struggle. What do I do? I said, just natural consequences allow a crisis. Just go for the natural stuff. She says, okay. And she had a good imagination. She came back and reported to the group, this is what I did. We said, sure. She says, okay. The next day, we went home, and they came in for, this time they had on their yellow dresses and little white pinafore things, and they little bows, and they came in. It's time for dinner, come eat. And the girls come in. Oh, Mama, we forgot to set the table. We'll get it set. That's okay, sweethearts. Mama loves you. Sit down. But Mama, the table's not set. There's nothing to eat. That's okay, sweetheart. Sit down. Mama loves you. But Mama said, sit down. It's okay. So they sat down. You can eat off this woman's floors. She's a fanatic. And so they had a prayer on an empty table. Papa was there. And Mama went after the prayer over to the stove and picked up a pot of spaghetti that had all the tomato soup in it, and all the hamburger, and all the cheese half melted, and the onions, and brought it over. And this big scoop she had in her hand. And over her husband's shoulder, she just kind of flung it. She said, it's kind of all in the wrist. This lady's an actress. I wish I could do it like her. You'd fall out of your seats. She's standing there. And when this blob hit in front of this first girl, it slid about 6 inches and splattered. This little girl got little specks of red. The next one, this little girl sitting there. And like if they got themselves dirty, they expect to get killed or something, And she daintily put it in front of her husband. Little bit, is that enough, sweetheart? Yes. She put herself over there, went back to there, came back. By then, her husband was well into it. He was, got this in pocket. And in a couple of minutes, all these little girls were sobbing. Both of them. Woo-hoo, woo-hoo. Now, I don't understand little girls. I raised boys. They would love that. Meow, piggy pig. They'd be into it. They'd getting it into their ears and everything. That wouldn't work with boys. Mother walks over, comes back to the table. Got a whole pitcher of stuff here. Anybody want anything to drink? No. 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 You know how much? No. Now don't do this on a soup night. Okay, it's really messy. Do you get the idea? People, this is about an attitude. If raising kids is fun. Can't you just see your kids as parents? When I didn't make my stuff, I walked around with black shoes, and I had to buy my shoes. Now I can't get. Can you just tell them that? My mother just flopped it on the table. We ate it with our fingers. Can you just tell your kids what they would be doing? Okay, now let's look at this. Let's keep going here. Now you have these charts in any room, any task, lawns, garages, on any issue you want. You have that task under how many points they got. Now if kids don't do their work and they miss their chance and they have not done their job because they were doing something else, like little Susan is on the phone and she's supposed to do the dishes by 6, between 6 and 6:30. And if they don't get done, then the other kids get to do it. Do you get the idea? The other kids get to do it. And so now she's on the phone talking to her sweet love. And 6:15 comes around. And she's missing time. She's lost track of time. And pretty soon, at 20 after, the natives start getting restless. They start coming out from behind things. Are they going to tell her? No! She's got to manage her own time and resources. And they're talking to Mother. Mother, can I do the dishes? Because if they do the dishes, what do they get? What's the fee for doing somebody else's dishes? $3. Do they want to do dishes because they want to have a nice, clean house? They want to do dishes because it's their turn. It would make Mama happy. No. They want $3 to buy a rat to feed to their snake. That's what they want $3 for, okay? So what they're going to do, they're not going to tell 25 after, they're in there, Mama, Mama, and it dong, it rings, huh? Mama, let me do the dishes. Are your kids begging to do dishes at your house? If they're not begging for work, if they're not coming around begging for more work, they are not needy enough. Now, what drives this engine is need. Need, need, need. The more need, the more need, the more need, the more they drive. If they want to go to this fun place, they earn it. They want to go to the junk food place, they earn it. They spend their own money. You'll be surprised how careful they get, how soon they get careful, how soon they start adding up those dollars in that bank account. One of the most contributing factors in divorce is mismanagement of funds. Did you know that? It's bad. Okay, anyway. Fees for maid service are due on demand to mother, who pays the maid. Arguing, complaining, or not paying the fee on time doubles the fee. Mother has to have a counseling fee. You complain? Go ahead. All right. Mother loves everybody. Mother has gotten dangerous. Now let's look at this. Now we're going to end this here, and we're going to talk to you about problem ownership. There's nothing more important that I'll tell you tonight than problem ownership. It's how to get the problem off of you onto the kids. How many kids are worried about unmade beds? How many? You ever have a kid come home and say, I felt terrible all day at school. I forgot to make my bed this morning. I felt terrible. The token economy shows you how to shift the problem gradually from the children, from your shoulders to their shoulders. So that when they're 12, 14, they've got a lot of their own responsibility. Let's look at this. Who's worried about unmade beds, dirty dishes, the trash, bathrooms, quarreling? Who's worried, mother or kids? Mothers. Do you have kids worried about the dishes? The dishes still aren't done, Mother. Can I do them? Somebody needs to do them. I'll jump in there and do them. No, your kid has to be sick. You'd take them to the doctor and have their head examined if one of them said that, wouldn't you? Okay. The person who is worried about a problem is said to what? Own the problem. So who owns unmade beds? Who owns unwashed dishes? Who owns the dirty backyard? Who owns the problem? Mom and Dad. The kids don't worry about it. Kids can walk past piles and piles of trash. Doesn't bother them. Okay. Can you get your kids to own these problems? Yes. This is called shifting problem ownership. Now let's look at this. Herkimer doesn't make his bed. He jumps up in the morning. You've told him to make the bed. Every morning you're a fit. But now you don't. And Herkimer doesn't make his bed. But at the door, you say, goodbye, sweetheart. Give Mama love. I love you. We're building relationships here. Goodbye. He didn't make his bed. He goes, He can take your scolding. But he comes home and you're not scolding. He comes home in his room. He goes by his room. His room looks real nice and clean. In fact, his room looks very big. In fact, it looks big because the bed is gone. Somebody's got the bed. Mother, we've been robbed. The bed is gone. He says, oh, I got rid of it. You got rid of it? Yes, I gave it to some people and they promised to make it every day. Remember, the guy said get rid of anything that's getting in the way of a good relationship. By the way, sweetheart, feed your dog. Brother, you're out of your mind. I don't need your stinking bed. Keep your stupid bed. I'm a scout. I got a sleeping bag. Just make sure you roll it up and put it away, honey. You tell them one time, you know. The kids come home and little Johnny, their younger brother, preschooler, is not there. He's off visiting grandma. They don't know that. They come home. Nobody says anything. At dinner, one of them says, you know, what did Johnny do? You know. Now, one mother says, I'm not nagging anymore. I'm not going to tell you about your clothes, about using the phone, etc., etc. I'm not going to do that. I'm really not going to nag you anymore. I love you. So the kids go off. This one kid came home, this daughter came home, and all the clothes that were in her bedroom had been soaked in water, tied in knots, and thrown way up in the tree. And it took a little while because some of them fell down, but Mom enjoyed it. See, they're really up there. And the heavier they are, the further up they go. They're hanging up there. It looked like somebody had toilet paper at the house when she came home. All her stuff was hanging. She comes running in. Mama, Raven put my stuff up in the tree. You did it, Mama? Why did you do it? Well, honey, I don't nag about clothes anymore. I know, but why'd you throw them up the tree? Well, honey, they were all over the floor when you left, and you didn't notice them on the way out. I just want to make sure you noticed them on the way in. Did you notice them? Yeah, I noticed them. He's out there with a fishing pole. Raymond thought that was the funniest thing he ever saw. He's splitting the gut. He goes in his room. His room looked like it had been untouched. Everything was right where he left it. He went to pick something up, and Mama had stapled everything to the floor. Bow, 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 bow. With a roof stapler. She just enjoyed it. Bow, 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 bow. He says, why did you do that? You ruined my stuff. She says, whenever I find anything laying around, I just staple it now. She says, well, why do you do that, Mama? She says, well, I figured you put it where you wanted it. I didn't want anybody to move it. Mama has gotten dangerous. Yes. And you can test this program. And about 2 months later, after you got the token economy in effect, you can go down the hall. And you can say, hey, kids, make sure that you don't die tonight. They'll come running out of their rooms. What did Mother say? I don't know. I didn't hear. What did you say, Mother? What did she say? They're worried. Mother, what did you say? I only tell you one time, sweethearts. Let the turkeys worry about it. They're looking all over the house trying to figure out what they didn't do. You get it? The next morning as they leave for work, and they go off to school, you say, bye, sweethearts, Mama loves you. They get out to the sidewalk and then come back and start looking around the house. What's wrong? You know? They're looking around. Your kids won't go to school. They'll have to stay home and guard their stuff. Do you get the idea about problem ownership? You shift it by talking, right? No, by action. You don't talk, you stop talking. You stop talking and you act. People who do not understand the simple principles of need, of work, of unconditional love, of treasuring, cherishing your children. People who do not have a token economy, a plan in the most important organization in the world, their own home, who just fly by the seat of their pants. People who don't have this stuff end up pressured and hollering and screaming and criticizing and threatening with children that don't develop, who don't develop values, who do not develop a sense of individual capability and industry. Children who do not build values around saving and integrity and contracts and your word. Children who do not feel capable and who feel incapable and inferior. You see, you can't raise children by accident. You have to know what you're doing. You wouldn't let somebody get into your head and operate that didn't have some training. People, it's a travesty what we do as parents. It's a travesty. We love our kids and we think that's enough. It is not enough. There's a dragon on every corner out there today. Maybe in the old days when you had 15,000 family members in the same community, all supporting your standards and watching after your kids. Maybe it was a little different. But today, we cannot default in raising our children. We've got to know what we're doing. Do you believe me? And if you're not enjoying your children and building relationships, you are not doing it right. Because it's in our families and in our homes and in our personal relationships that we have this great joy, this great intimacy. The great success in life is figuring out how to parent, how to be a husband, how to be a wife. This is where we need to spend our time and our energy in working. Not in more stuff, not in more motorhomes, not in a bigger house, not in more fun toys. All that junk doesn't matter. What matters is how much we love each other and how close we are. And if the family is there for us. We all long for these intimate relationships and then ignore the very way that we can develop these. Is this making any sense? We need to work from a position of intelligence. And the more you learn, the less bound you are by ignorance. And we will stay stuck until we change our heads and reprogram. You've been a great audience. I hope that you will seriously consider taking the counselor home with you and getting those tapes, those of you who don't have them. And I hope that you will consider that. There's a discount tonight. Thank you for coming. You've been great. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, people. Go home and be good parents. Thanks for coming. You've been very kind.